In this edition of Southern Newsweek, concerned residents protest outside the office of an MP. We'll find out why they want the government to do better. The city's new dog control bylaws have come into effect. We take a look at some of the changes. And it's the end of the road for a South Dunedin second-hand store, but staff who are affected say it's the right move. Kia ora, I'm Holly Buchanan. Locals are calling for legislative change with a protest outside the office of National MP Michael Woodhouse. They're worried the minister isn't listening to their concerns about the current 90-day trial bill, and they want the government to do better.
Putting the call out. This protest, organised by Unions Otago, is made up of those vehemently opposed to the 90-day trial employment period, which they call the Fire at Will bill.
So what we're finding is that it hasn't opened doors. One of the rationales that was articulated by the minister as a reason for the 90-day bill was that it would provide employees with an opportunity to get a foot in the door. What we know is that hasn't happened, and the report that's recently been released shows no evidence of that actually being the case.
The protesters' chants would have had to have been very loud for Workplace Relations and Safety Minister Michael Woodhouse to hear, as he's in Wellington on Cabinet duties. Mata Poe says another issue unions are concerned with is that when the Holidays Act changed, many people experienced a hiccup in their pay, and they're still owed money.
Ministry of Business and Innovation realised that there were a number of payroll providers who hadn't met their responsibilities under the changes in the Holidays Pay Act, and now as a result of that there are New Zealanders who are owed back pay because they have been incorrectly paid. So those are the two issues that we're here to protest today on behalf of workers in New Zealand.
The protest carried on in a noisy but otherwise peaceful way for an hour or so, before Princess Street returned to normal. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
A local hepatitis support network is commending the decision to fund life-saving drugs for New Zealanders. The government is giving more than $100 million to Pharmac to fund 6 new treatments for a range of illnesses. But there's concern locally that it doesn't go far enough.
Looking at the latest medical advances, hepatitis C sufferers now have a better chance of fighting the infection, with the government giving the go-ahead to fund 2 new drug treatments. It's a move that's been welcomed locally.
It is good that they've recognised that there is a need in our community for funding of newer medications for the treatment of Hep C.
The drugs Harvoni and Vicera pack will be funded by Pharmac, giving more than 50,000 Kiwis a better chance of beating the infection. Hepatitis C sufferers fall into 4 different genotypes and receive medication accordingly. Genotypes 2, 3 and 4 have to wait until they're sick to receive any treatment, but Beck says that could be 20 years away.
It actually will be good for some, I must concede that. However, there's a huge percentage of the population that won't fit the criteria for treatment. So at the moment, we don't really know, but I'm thinking it could be 40-50% of people that won't be able to access treatment through Pharmac funding.
The government is investing $124 million over 4 years into Pharmac as part of their 2016 budget. But cuts to social services funding last year saw the local Hep C centre lose their $80,000 of annual funding. Beck says sufferers need support centres like this, especially now, so they can guide them through the right treatment options.
What we've been doing is we've been doing this buyers club thing, or working with people to be able to access the buyers club. So there's more of a need for us now almost than there ever has been, even though Pharmac is recognising that Hep C has reached epidemic proportions in New Zealand.
Pharmac will also be funding melanoma drug Opdivo as well as Viruximab for nephrotic syndrome. The treatments will be available from the beginning of next month. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
New dog control bylaws have come into effect after months of public submissions and debate on the topic. In some areas there are now fewer restrictions on dogs, while in others the rules are far more strict. But council staff believe they've reached a happy medium.
It's going from this to this. The signs are yet to be removed from the esplanade. to reflect a change to Dunedin's dog control bylaws, which came into effect today. Dunedin City Council Animal Services Manager Ros McGill says many aspects of dog control have changed.
And we've got the St Clair Esplanade, which is the paved area that they're now allowed to have their dog on a lead, which was previously prohibited.
The changes affect the entire city, including Back Beach at Port Chalmers, known to some as Dogtown.
Port Chalmers is where there's a no dog park out there, so we've enabled them to have their dogs off a leash on that road, so to allow them to exercise their dogs there.
There are also changes in Brighton and Smales Beach. McGill says there's a map available online for those who want to know the specifics.
Yeah, so they can go onto the DCC website and go into Animal Services, and you will see in the bylaw section right down the bottom of the page there is an interactive map, and if you click on that, and you can actually search the areas that you're interested in.
She admits the issue of dog control is a contentious one, with many submissions to the recently adopted annual plan.
I think everybody's got opinions about dogs, whether you own one or not. You either like them or you don't, and everybody wants to have as much opportunity to exercise their dogs and have a right to be out there with their dogs. But we have to take into consideration both the dog owners and the people that are out without dogs, so we need to make sure that everybody is safe in what they're doing.
McGill believes the council has come up with a balanced and fair approach to the bylaws, which are now in effect. They'll remain current for a decade. And McGill believes it's not a case of the tail wagging the dog. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
A group of Indigenous students from around the world are in the city to learn more about Māori culture. The international delegation has visited the city's Māori Immersion School as part of Māori Language Week festivities, and they're seeing firsthand how te reo can be used in daily life.
26 Indigenous tertiary students from around the world are in Ōtepoti, Dunedin, being immersed in Māori culture. The students have come from Australia, Canada, America and the UK and are here to celebrate Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori, Māori Language Week. It's an opportunity for them to learn about Māori language revitalisation in New Zealand. The Indigenous students were welcomed with a pōwhiri onto Te Kura Kaupapa o Ōtepoti in Fairfield.
So this kura kaupapa that we're at's a full immersion Te Reo Māori or Māori language only school, so it's an awesome opportunity for us to be here practising our Te Reo Māori and also to give our guests the opportunity to see that it exists in New Zealand.
The students have already been given many experiences, including an overnighter at Puketaraki Marae in Karatane, as well as hearing from iwi from the local Kaitahu tribe about Kotahi Manu Kaika, initiatives to improve Māori language in the home.
It has been spectacular so far, very full on every day, but yeah, amazing. It's an amazing experience.
The 10-day trip is well timed as it coincides with Māori Language Week.
We have a group of Indigenous students from around the world who are on a program with the University of Otago, and today they're here with Professor Poerewe and myself looking at Māori immersion education, and obviously the timing is awesome because it's also Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori.
Māori Language Week is an annual celebration of Te Reo Māori and a time for everyday New Zealanders to embrace all aspects of Māori culture.
It's an opportunity for people to acknowledge Te Reo Māori as the Indigenous language of Aotearoa. It's an opportunity to celebrate, and for schools, early childhood centres, workplaces, all of our people in New Zealand to take some time for Te Reo Māori.
This year's theme is Aki ngā Te Reo, or Give It a Go. It's all about making New Zealand a truly bilingual nation where everyone can speak both Māori and English, as well as sign language, the nation's third official language. Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori runs for the rest of the week. Johnny Appleby, Toru Takau Mārima, Dunedin News.
A second-hand store in South Dunedin is shutting its doors after 18 years in business. The closure of the Salvation Army shop on King Edward Street means the loss of 2 paid staff members and a number of volunteers. But while it's a loss that's hit the community hard, staff say it was necessary.
18 years and no life left. A mainstay of the op shop world in South Dunedin closed this week, with the loss of 2 paid staff members' jobs, along with a handful of volunteers. Christchurch-based Salvation Army family store consultant Robin Sukigawa is in town to check the closure process is going smoothly. She says the decision to close the store was not easy, but came down to financial concerns.
It's a modest shop with a modest income, and the lease was due for renewal, so we felt it would be prudent to shut the shop rather than continue with a new lease.
Sukigawa says rates and other expenses were just too much for the shop to remain open, saddening both volunteers and paid staff.
Obviously they're very disappointed, particularly the ones that have been here for quite some time. This was like their home away from home, so we do feel for them and the paid staff that were here. Obviously it's a shock to a lot of people that the shop is closing.
She also cites a strong amount of competition in the second-hand shop market, particularly in the South Dunedin area.
Yes, it is very competitive. So we felt it was right at this time. There are other good second-hand shops in the area, so I'm sure that the shoppers that had been coming to this little shop will be able to frequent those ones as well.
Sukigawa says there are no immediate plans to open another shop in South Dunedin. However, they are not ruling out opening a new store at some stage. Daryl Baser, 39 Dunedin News.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, tertiary representatives gather to discuss how to better educate teachers as they focus on improving education quality. And the future of a city church is considered as its members celebrate a 150-year milestone. Welcome back. A local discussion is underway to debate the quality of teacher education in New Zealand. The Teacher Education Forum of Aotearoa is holding its biennial conference in Dunedin, bringing together dozens of delegates from tertiary institutions. And this year they're focusing on how best to educate the nation's teachers.
Teaching the teachers. Speakers from education providers throughout the country are in Dunedin for a conference held every 2 years. It's a chance for those gathered to talk about all the different methods used in the classroom.
TFANS is a chance for those initial teacher educators to come together every 2 years in a conference to present the research that's going on in the programs, about their programs, and where they're going in their teacher education.
The conference has been held over 2 days with representatives from nearly 20 education providers across New Zealand, including all the major universities and small specialised institutes. The purpose is to share the information on who is doing what and how they're implementing the best techniques in the classroom.
It's a chance for us to hear what other people are doing and a chance for lessons learned and some discussions and debates on, well, could we use that idea, or we've had that same problem, here's what we did, or that's not an issue we've had, so maybe we need to think about it, and hearing a chance to see what others are doing.
Delegates have come from a range of providers that offer teaching qualifications at different levels. One of the topics up for debate is around whether the teaching qualification standard should be raised from undergraduate to postgraduate. But it could mean less institutions around the country will be able to offer courses, therefore meaning less teachers.
We opened this conference with a panel of the Education Council, the Council of Deans, the NZEI, and the PPTA, where they were asked to address that issue of, are we going to a postgraduate only? If so, when? If we do go to a postgraduate, what happens to the providers of only the undergraduate programs?
The conference has been running biennially for the past 17 years. Conveners hope to join with their Australian counterparts to create a Trans-Tasman Teacher Education Conference in the next few years. Annabelle Dick, 39, Dunedin News.
Some of Dunedin's more quirky houses have caught the eye of a Port Chalmers-based printmaker. The homes, designed by architect Basil Hooper, are the focus of his new exhibition at a local gallery. And it's a topic he says is intriguing residents.
Art imitating life. It is display time now, but for the past 7 months, Dunedin printmaker Manu Berry has been researching, sketching and printing houses around Dunedin that were designed by architect Basil Hooper. He says he stumbled upon Hooper's work while out walking.
One of those was the finding out that he had designed the pilot's houses out the end of Arawana, where I go walking very frequently. That's the most frequent walk, so they're very much a part of my world. And then a few other people had connections with them and mentioned the interest, and so I started looking around and it just kind of took legs from there.
Berry says the process began with him researching where Hooper designed homes around the city, which prompted him to go door to door to find out more.
And then I tried to get around every one in Dunedin and dropped a little note into the letterboxes and just thought I would leave it a little bit to fate to who responded to that. And I got a trickle at first and then a flow, and enough that I couldn't really keep up.
His multi-layered woodblock prints take time, patience and exacting skill to carve and print before they're hung in some of the finest houses around the country. Berry says one of his favourite parts of the process was the initial drawing stage.
From there I went and drew the houses, just spent a half a day or a day sketching at each place. And that was a lovely process. It was over this beautiful autumn that we've just had, and in these lovely little pockets of old suburbia surrounded by trees. And
the fruits of Manu Berry's 7-month labour of love will be on display beginning tomorrow at Mint Gallery. Daryl Baser, 39, Dunedin News.
150 years of community engagement is being celebrated at a local house of worship. Patrons are being treated to special services for the anniversary at Kaikoura Presbyterian Church, and the milestone is prompting members to think ahead to the future of the site.
Sharing the love of Jesus with the community. Kaikoura Presbyterian Church is celebrating an important milestone marking 150 years in existence. Celebrations began on Friday and finished Sunday with a service and feast.
What we try to do though in the whole weekend was to gather between the past, the present and the future. And so that's been our aim over this whole weekend, to tell the past but also to tell what we're doing now, and also to look to the future and see what God has got in store for the years to come.
The church serves an important role in the community, providing a place of worship where people from all walks of life can gather.
So vibrancy comes from the people that contribute to serving the wider community, and we come here on a Sunday and we get refreshed and strengthened, and we're part of a community that loves and cares for one another and for the people we're among. And so that's actually part of why we actually are vibrant and why we still exist and are growing. Yeah.
Celebrations were made even more special with the planting of a commemorative tree and the presentation of a replica of the church in cake form. Lewis says seeing everyone come together to mark the occasion gives her hope.
Great to know that the church has been here for such a long time, and such a great building and the great people, and it will continue in the future.
And judging by the large number of attendees, the church's future looks bright. Johnny Appleby, 39, Dunedin News.
And just ahead on Southern Newsweek, land search and rescue volunteers hit the streets to raise funds for much needed equipment. And some of the city's expats take to the ice to celebrate two important occasions. Welcome back. Dunedin Land Search and Rescue held its annual street appeal recently. Volunteers were out around the city shaking the bucket, raising some much needed money. And it's all to help support the dedicated locals who step up when someone needs rescuing.
Dunedin's Land Search and Rescue Group are out in force collecting money to help fund their everyday operations. The unpaid professionals offer their specialist search and rescue skills free to the public 24/7, as well as support for the lost, missing and injured.
People, no matter what happens, will go and look for someone. Anytime, anywhere, regardless, we'll do it. But the funding certainly helps us to do our job better.
However, the organisation needs more funding to keep up with the demand for the service they provide.
Without funding, it would make it more difficult for us. It's the amount of equipment we need to use. Now in today's world, the comm systems, GPSs, all that type of stuff, technology for managing searches is becoming more involved, and as I say, for the training.
The group undertakes a wide range of activities through its 18 specialist teams, including the Land Search and Rescue dogs. Dog handler Emma Milburn and her dog Dart are one skilled pair. doing their part to help people in need.
She's very friendly and worked really hard on her, because the whole thing is her finding people. That's her main task in life, is to find people, and the reward of finding a person at the end, and that's the big reward in her life, really. So that's the big kahuna.
Milburn and Dart, along with the rest of the Dunedin Search and Rescue team, are out and around central Dunedin for the entire day collecting donations. All funds raised will help the group carry on providing the much needed service locally.
So, as I say, we're ready to go and help anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's what we do.
The fundraising effort isn't just on the streets, with a Give a Little page also set up for anyone keen to donate. Johnny Appleby, 39, Dunedin News.
More than 600 of the city's high school students got out of the classroom and onto the sports field recently for the annual Coed Schools Tournament. But it wasn't all about having fun, with competitors' eyes squealy on the first place trophy up for grabs.
School kids were bouncing around the Dunedin sport field today in the city's annual Coed Sports Tournament. It's a highly anticipated event each year, and organisers say those taking part love it.
So it's really nice to give Coed something that's specific for them and something that they can look forward to themselves. And I mean, everyone loves to win a trophy, and it's a pretty good sized trophy for.
A handful of referees jumped at the chance to help out with the day-long event, keen to support our future sporting stars.
Because I just love my sport. I love always about to run Otago and everything, and when it comes to helping out basketball Otago, I'm always there 24/7.
More than 600 teenagers are taking part in the 6 sports on offer, as well as a have-a-go sport, which this year is table tennis. It's not all fun and games though, with a serious trophy on the line that all schools are battling for.
You know, they're keen to look at the draw and seeing who they're going to play and trying to pretend who they can match off in the finals. So definitely there is some rivalry, and it's really great to see.
While some of those taking part are just happy to have the day off school, others say the event is a great way to try out new sports.
Because it brings, me and my mates together. We're just playing basketball.
You get a day off school, that's useful. It's a good experience, I guess. You meet new people and stuff, and I enjoy that.
Good to get out and get some fitness going and get the team going together.
While Kavanagh College has won the past 4 competitions, they'll be in for a battle this year, with plenty of other competitors also with their eyes on the prize. Henry McMullen, 39, Dunedin News.
The city's Paralympic hopefuls are hard at work training for the upcoming Rio Games. There's just 2 months until the athletes jet off, and they're starting to feel the pressure. But the excitement of competing on the world stage is making it all worth it.
The city's Paralympians were hard at work today, with Rio Games just 10 weeks away. They're taking full advantage of the sunny day to get in some essential training.
Yeah, it's going really well. I mean, we're quite a bit ahead of, I feel, where we were this time last year, going into World Champs. So it's pretty exciting. We've done quite a bit of hard work over the last few months, and it's just kind of starting to show now.
The athletes praise the technology of today for helping them to perfect their sporting performance.
Good high.
Yeah.
So look.
Technology is also helping the athletes move more freely and obtain some of their personal bests.
Technology's pretty good these days, so the limbs that I wear sort of become a part of me, and I feel like I've got 2 legs anyway, even though one of them's a prosthetic.
It's a lot of hard work and commitment for each athlete, with training 7 days a week, not just in the field, but also in the gym.
For me, I've always been right side dominant, not having my other side, and it gets my left side moving, gets some weight through it, and evens me up, and it helps a lot with throwing. If you're not strong, you're not going to be able to throw a javelin very far. So.
Trainer Raylene Bates says it's rewarding coaching the para-athletes, and she believes it makes her a better coach.
Adapting certain techniques, adapting different things that you do with the athletes. So it gives you a bit of a broader knowledge, and it does make you, look that little bit further.
The athletes aren't letting their disabilities hold them back from reaching their childhood dreams of winning gold.
No point in dwelling on it. I mean, it's not going to grow back at the end of the day, so you just got to get on with life and just take what's given to you, really.
Both Robertson and Grimuli are off to Australia next week for competitions ahead of Rio. McSweeney will stick around town, getting both prepared and excited for his first ever Paralympic Games. Henry McMullen, 39, Dunedin News.
And finally, a friendly ice hockey game has helped mark 2 important occasions for the city's expat population. Players took to the ice to assert their sporting dominance to celebrate both Canada Day and US Independence Day. And it was a game that came right down to the wire.
Big hits and fast skates. It was all on show on the weekend for the first Canada versus the world ice hockey game at the Dunedin Ice Stadium. The event was timed to coincide with a number of important dates.
Canada Day is July 1st, and Independence Day is obviously July 4th, and I'm lucky enough to have my birthday smack bang in the middle, so it's 32 today, and what better way to celebrate than a good game of ice hockey.
Organisers hope to make the game an annual event and raise money for the Dunedin Ice Hockey Opportunity Fund. The charity provides gear for those that can't afford to play.
It's a bit of fun hockey middle of the year. Hoping to keep this going every year.
Simpson says international players play a big part in the Dunedin ice hockey family, with many of them acting as role models for the local players.
The Dunedin Ice Hockey League has 8 teams currently with about 105 or so players playing, and probably a good sort of 10-15% of those would be Canadians. Generally the higher skill level players.
It was a late call-up for 11-year-old Morgan Blair due to another player's injury, but he jumped at the chance to get on the ice.
Well, I play in the duel, so I'm kind of used to it, but I think it's a step up from my league, so yeah, I like it.
The game turned out to be an absolute barn burner, with it going double overtime, Canada slotting the golden goal, winning 3-2. It was all smiles and handshakes after the match, with celebrations set to continue through the night.
A few beverages upstairs, might polish off the rest of this maple syrup.
Henry McMullen, 39, Dunedin News.
And that's all for this edition of Southern Newsweek. Remember to check us out on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, or you can keep up with the Dunedin News via our website, dunedintv.co.nz. I'm Holly Buchanan, thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.